Possibilities. My name is Christina. I am delighted to have you here today. I hope your new year is off to a wonderful start. And I started off my new year with reading a duology of books that I wanted to share with you. So I've got two books here. We've got Parnassus on Wheels and then The Haunted Bookshop. It's actually a duology by Christopher Morley. And I actually finished this one at the end of 2024 and then started this one at the end of 2024 and ended it shortly into 2025. So basically, I ended my year with this one and I started my year with this one. Figure that's a good way to do a duology. But let's get into the story. So this is going to be for the people who love books about books. So Parnassus on Wheels is a traveling bookshop. It takes place in like early 1900s, and it has one man, Mr. Mifflin, who is a traveling bookseller. He has this caravan that is pulled by a nice bulky horse because of course the books are very heavy, and he basically travels the country, just going around to farms, neighborhoods. He tends to stick to like out in the farm country where people don't always have access to books. But here's a good picture of the traveling Parnassus. So we follow him on his adventures. The main plot of the story is around Mr. Mifflin wanting to sell his traveling Parnassus because he's ready to retire and actually settle down in a single spot so that he can write a book based on his travels thus far. And he is stopping at the house of a person he believes is a writer, well, a person who is a writer, and he believes is a perfect candidate to take over the traveling bookshop. When he gets there, the author himself is not at the house, but his sister is, who is effectively the housewife of the house, even though they're brother sister. And she has been in this house being a housewife for ages and is already fed up with her brother going off on travels to help writing his books. So she is determined that her brother is not going to get this traveling bookshop, to the point that she buys it herself. So what we do is we follow both Mr. Mifflin and Helena as they are starting out on Helena's journey to being the new bookseller for Parnassus, and Mr. Mifflin is showing her the ropes, and of course they have some interesting encounters along the way, some of it due to Helen's brother not being too happy with her impromptu decision. But in the long run, it all works out. And it's a really lovely read. I love the time in which it was written. It's a much simpler time. Phones are just starting to be widely used, but that's about the extent of the technology. There's actually a quote that really summarizes like the purpose that Christopher Morley wrote this duology as basically an ode to booksellers, really. And I'll read the paragraph here at the end. But next up, we follow Mr. Mifflin and Helena at the Haunted Bookshop. This takes place about 10 years later, I believe. The bookshop is fairly well established, And Mr. Mifflin decided he was going to call it the Haunted Bookshop as its title, uh, because not that it's actually haunted, but the way he phrases it is that it is haunted by the stories of the books that are housed within. So haunted not in the sense that you would typically think of, but haunted still in a sense. But in the Haunted Bookshop, we follow a couple of days. I think this is actually a fairly quick read. This becomes a little bit more of a thriller and mystery suspense. There are strange things that start happening in the Haunted Bookshop, and books that go missing, and noises that can be heard when there shouldn't be anybody else in the bookshop in the evening, and disappearing books reappear. So just a lot of strange things going on. And we have a advertiser who is wanting to get the business of the Haunted Bookshop. So he wants to advertise for the bookshop. And the advertiser is very persistent. He kind of discovers this mystery of the disappearing books, and he sees other things in the neighborhood that seem a little too coincidental to not be connected to the disappearances of the books and reappearances. So he becomes a detective and takes it upon himself to solve this mystery. And it turns out to be a pretty wild situation. So it does have an explosion in it. I think that's all I'll give away. But really fun read, both of these. And let me go to the very back. This has, this is from Christopher Morley. In every bookstore, small or large, there are books we have not read, books which may have messages of unsuspected beauty or importance. They may be new books, they may be of yesterday or of long ago. The store where you found this volume exists in the hope of knowing and learning about books. There is no habit more valuable than that of dropping into a bookstore occasionally to look around, to look both inward and outward. We have what you need, though you may not know you need it. So, in that last quote, we have what you need, though you may not know you need it, is basically the life philosophy for Mr. Mifflin, in both books. So, absolutely enjoyed the series. I think I've had this for a long time on my shelves. I'm glad I finally got around to reading them. I did originally put them on my 25 to read in 25, but I got started on them before the New Year, so I substituted them out for something else. So upcoming, I did finish another book, but I'm going to do a separate video about that because I read the book and then shortly after watched the movie, so I'm going to do a bit of a comparison to the book and the movie. And then I'm going to start tackling a bunch of book tags, so look forward to a couple of those videos in the near future. In the meantime, I'm really curious. So I was about to wrap up, but then there's one thought that came to mind with the traveling Parnassus. I think that this would be an awesome idea to happen in the modern world. Not as a caravan pulled by a horse, but maybe an RV or just a trailer being pulled by a car and just traveling around the United States and being a traveling bookshop. I love the thought of that, and I'm very curious of all of my book lovers who watch this. I would love to know if you are aware of any company, any individual that does anything like that. that does like traveling book sales in the vein of the traveling Parnassus. Because if not, like, it almost makes me want to just do that. You know, if I could drop everything and make a solid living out of just getting some used books, taking them on the road, selling them, taking them to like neighborhoods and maybe schools and public parks or something like that where people gather, and just trying to encourage more people to get into reading. That would be, I think, a dream come true. Like, it would be a perfect career. So let me know what you think about that. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. If you like the content today, of course, I would love a like. And if you don't already subscribe, I would love to have you join the bookish community. And in the meantime, I do hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.